Last week on the Nicoletti Show. Let's welcome her to the show, Jackie Ivy. Jackie, I love that you're here.
I love that I'm here too. The relationship that you have with yourself is the most important relationship in your life to nurture.
We're going to get into a lot of the fundamentals and principles of a lot of these things that an entrepreneur really needs to think about on the mental side. Without this kind of stuff, you're not functioning at the highest level you can.
When I think of wellness, I think of an entire circle of things, not just one area. Whatever your profession is, it's important to ensure that you're having a holistic framework in terms of what you're doing to take care of yourself.
If you truly counted in your day how much time you waste, it adds up to 5-6 hours.
If it's difficult for you to time manage and to prioritize, are you struggling with being distracted, or are you struggling with not feeling like you have enough hours in the day? Because we're all given the same hours. I think people get overwhelmed with this concept of where do I begin? And it has to be this huge change. And so it's really important to kind of slow down. We are constantly on gas and we need to go more on break.
A lot of people say yes to a lot of things. The concept of being able to say no is the opportunity to start sifting out the people that you want to work with, you want to be around with, and scaling your business.
Wow, you remember that.
Oh, I remember a lot.
I really started to challenge myself to say yes to more because I was allowing my discomfort of getting out of my routine to get in the way of happiness. When you say no to something, you're actually saying yes to something else.
Oh, that's a good one right there. I have Nicoletti Show merch.
I love it.
On the back. And then I got you a mug.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got all the merch now.
I got it. I got all my merch.
You like this shirt, don't you?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm promoting it.
I love it. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
I love it. For more content on tonight's episode, make sure you check out the Al Nicoletti YouTube channel under Al Nicoletti, the Facebook business page and personal page under Al Nicoletti, and all the micro content dropping on the Al Nicoletti Show at Attorney Nicoletti, where you're going to see all the micro from the guests from season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. And of course, all the clips on probates, partitions, quiet titles, all those things in the funky world of title. You don't want to miss it. And all the guests that you can find on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. We have all of them constantly there for you, dropping weekly. You don't want to miss it. And you know the show is live every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We go live right on the dot. You don't want to miss it. Full interaction. You can drop comments, ask questions. We love the followers and fans out there. And tonight's episode is not going to be any different. It's going to be an amazing episode once again. And we get to bring on a great wholesaler in the state of Florida and all over the country. And I can't wait to bring Ben on the show. So we are going to dive in on all this stuff tonight. I got my pen. I got my paper ready. Man, I know what we're going to go through tonight, and I can tell you it is going to be game-changing for a lot of people out there doing deals, trying to stay at high performance always. And I think it's always just so amazing to see how people can really scale their business over the last 2-3 years. And Ben Toaff is gonna lay it down and go right at it. So let's dive in and rock this thing. Hey, everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate, and bringing on people talking about the best of the best in their industry, whether it's commercial, Airbnb, marketing, branding, wholesaling, or just talking about how people have really changed their lives over the last 2-3 years, and that itself has helped scale their business. We bring on the best in the game to talk about these things on how you could take your company to the next level. On my show today, I got Ben Toaff. This guy is amazing when it comes to wholesaling, and I love Ben's energy when it comes to business. He's a business-minded guy, straight shooter. I love that style. And what's so cool about Ben, I remember how we connected. We connected when Foreclosures Daily was doing one of their webinars that I was going to be on. I think it was like a year ago. And Ben will remember this one. And they were doing their promotion about Al's going to be speaking on probate. He's going to be talking about probate. The webinar's coming up. And I remember I was sitting on my couch. It was 10:30 at night. And I remember I got an email from Ben. And Ben wrote me and said, "Is this true?" And I looked at the email. I was like, what's Ben? Who is this guy? What's he talking about? And I saw that it talked about Al will wait until closing for attorney's fees. And I thought, oh yeah, like this is the model. This is what I do. So I remember I wrote Ben back, and ever since we've done probates together. He's closed deals, double probates, crazy stuff, and just love his style, love what he's able to do. Straight shooter, and I think this is going to be really cool for people to watch tonight, to learn something about scaling your business over the last 2 to 3 years, and how Ben did it, and what he looked at, and kind of the things he changed in his business, and what he prioritized, and what he focused on. So I'm excited. And as you all know, what I do on my show is a segment before I bring on the guest called Opening Thoughts. And my thoughts today, and I'm sure Ben will talk about this one too, is results take time. Results in what you're focused on will take time. The consistency and sustainability you put into your craft every single day will generate the result you are looking for eventually. A lot of people think that it's a one-time thing. You post one video or you post 2 videos and then you're going to see the results. It takes time to see results happen. It could take 6 months. It could take 9 months. If you think that something's going to happen overnight, quickly, you're already setting yourself up for failure, because things don't happen overnight. Things happen over time. And I think that's a really good point for people to take away, because when you hear what Ben talks about tonight, it's taken time and it's helped scale this business. So I'm excited to bring Ben Toaff on the show. Let's do this thing without further ado. Ben, what is going on, man? We are live.
Hey, Al. Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the kind words. Al's a great guy. We've been working together for maybe a year, or a little over a year now. Not sure. We've done a few probates. Working with Al has definitely been extremely positive experience. So, yeah, any probates you have in the state of Florida, I would definitely send him his way. Highly recommended. Definitely gets them done quickly and efficiently, and is super fair when it comes to his pricing. So highly recommended.
I love that you're on. I mean, look, this is actually, for those that don't know, this is actually the first time Ben and I have actually seen each other. We've done deals. We've talked on the phone. We actually now get to see each other and sit down and talk about this stuff. And that's what's great about our virtual world, right? All of our deals are could be virtual with people in markets that we're not in. I'm in Jacksonville, Ben's down in South Florida, and we actually get to connect truly like this. I love that kind of stuff. So, Ben, for those, we could go through a whole bio of how you've been able to get to 6-7 figures. I mean, and what you've been able to do in real estate. What would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned, or a couple lessons that you've learned jumping into real estate?
So the number one lesson that I've learned over the years is that the biggest the determination of how far you can go is yourself and the beliefs that you put on yourself. Most people, whether they realize it or not, have a certain cap that they put on themselves as to how far they can go at something. And it's sad because they may or may not realize it, that they're the ones that's holding themselves back. It's simply their lack of self-confidence or lack of confidence that's preventing them from going to the next level. And that's what I've realized every year in real estate as I've grown, exponentially over the past few years, is that there's really no limit to how far you can go and how the things that you can accomplish, as long as you yourself believe that you can do it. That I would say was probably the biggest lesson that I've learned. And that's why every year when I go to set my goals, I raise the bar exponentially. And I know that even if I don't get to where I'm trying to go, if I get even remotely close, I'm going to be a lot further than I'm at right now.
I love that. I think that's great advice for a lot of people out there that are really trying to get better at their craft, build their confidence in what they're doing in their business and personal life. And I think one great thing that we talked about, which was on onboarding, which is, what are you doing daily, weekly, to help keep yourself at high performance mentally, physically, and just really help yourself so that you can help scale your business?
So it's interesting because this is something I started about a month or two ago. I've started doing a detox. I'm really taking my health into consideration now, because over, a few years ago when I started getting very serious about my business, I tried to work as hard as I possibly could. And I was trying to push myself to the limit. And I realized that what was happening was I could only go as far as as hard as I could work. So I was limiting because there's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much things only one person get done. And that's when I started to try to add people to my team. And then I realized that you can actually hire people on your team that are better at doing certain things than you are. And that's what allows you to grow a business as opposed to being a solo entrepreneur. So what I realized, I had a mind shift a little bit later, which was that I realized that the faster, it's not about how fast or how hard I work at something. It's about how fast I can delegate that task. That is the key to growing a business. It's people are trying to save pennies by doing things themselves when they can just go out, find someone who's already done it or already is doing it, that specific task or thing that they need for their business, and bring them on board, whether that's in the form of an employee or whether that's in the form of an agency that they're outsourcing a certain thing to. So I've changed my whole mindset to what is the next step I can take to grow, whether that be in my real estate business or my social media or my fitness life or whatever it is, and how do I delegate that task as fast as possible, and who is the best candidate to delegate that task to. Different mindset, and that's what when you turn in from a self-employed person to a business owner, and ultimately the owner of your own life. As far as my detox, what I'm realizing is that one of the most limiting things for me over the past few years has been my anxiety. My anxiety has done good things and bad. It's propelled me to push myself further, but it's also been limiting because it causes me to act on emotion and not act on logic or making the correct decision. So I realized that one thing I need to improve is my health in order to improve my anxiety and improve my decision-making skills on a day-to-day basis. So recently I joined an online course by a guy named Josh Mason. He's a detox guy, and I've only been doing it for about a month or two now, but I've already noticed a lot of differences in my health and my well-being. It's going to sound a little bit crazy, Al, but I ordered a $600 water distiller. And it takes about 5.5 hours to distill water. And that's what I drink the majority of my water from now. I have my water bottle right here. It's from my distilled water thing. And it seems a little nuts when you think, oh, wow, that guy's crazy. Why is he doing that? But then you look inside the water filter and you see the shit in the water that you're drinking. and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I drank that for the longest time. And that, I've started to feel really better. So as soon as I started noticing differences, I just kind of started to go all in on it. So I also have, sorry, what?
Let me ask you. So controlling the anxiety,
yes,
you're saying really started with your health. It started with the things that you were doing, the water, the food, the lack of exercise. So it seems like that was the big thing you wanted to focus on and change that control. You wanted to control that by changing all these other things you were working on.
Correct. Well, I wanted to ultimately improve my health and my sleep. And so that's why I started to do the detox. And it's been so far, it's been great. It's been great. I'm losing weight. I feel better. My day-to-day health, my sleep is better, and my anxiety is better. And I'm noticing that I'm able to make clear, more well thought out decisions in my business.
Interesting. I think that for a lot of people that want to maintain themselves at a high performance level, I believe that health is number one when it comes to that. What you're eating all day, what you're drinking, staying clean, and just focused on that every single day. And sleep. I've seen that become more important than ever in the last couple months. It's like a lot of people think, oh, it's all about health and working out, and then you're on 5 hours of sleep. No, you need your sleep, 8 hours. You need to get that rest, because when you are well rested, you're performing better than you were when you're not, right? I mean, so sleep, that was a great point.
Absolutely. I think that, it depends on the person, but you definitely are going to be, it's better to be focused in your zone, high performing for 8 hours a day than, grinding, not on the zone, not focused for 10 or 12. I think that is a key thing. That's key.
Yeah. And I also remember you talked about waking up early, waking up every day, 5 a.m., and just having that early mentality. Is there something early, in the morning that has helped kind of make you more productive?
Well, I think that it's more about the routine than the early. The early just works for me because I like to go, when I go to work, I want to be in the right frame of mind. And if I'm rushing into work right after I wake up, I'm not going to be in the right frame of mind. So going to bed early, I tend to sleep better, and I can wake up earlier, and then I get my workout in the morning, and that kind of grounds me.
Let's dive into something that a lot of wholesalers and realtors don't focus on in the market, right? Which is the MLS wholesaling. And I know we were talking about that the other day, about how this is something people aren't focused on. You have found that it's been a great niche in your business, and you've been able to teach others, do videos on it, talk about it, because you can really scale your business using that. So elaborate what the MLS wholesaling is, because I don't know, and I know there's probably a lot of people seasoned or new that have no idea.
So it's not our focus anymore. I only have one agent in my office that focuses on that now. But when I first started, that's all we did. I mean, that was my whole first 2.5 years. My first full year in wholesaling, we did $400,000 off the MLS, and that was with pretty much no overhead, no marketing, no office. It was just me and my business partner making offers. And so the whole idea there is you're going on the MLS, you're searching for the properties that, are good for investors that need work. And you're actually calling up the agents, making offers on those properties, get them under contract to purchase, and then just wholesaling them out during the inspection period. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You're just basically, the whole idea is you're getting them off the market. The other thing that's key about it is that you're actually getting in touch with the agents, building a relationship with them, and asking them if they have any pocket listings or listings that are coming up on the market. And so you're actually able to get some off-market deals as well, because you're getting those deals before they come on the MLS. And that's key. And that's something that was big for me in the beginning when I didn't want to spend a lot of money and risk a lot of money in my business coming into it. My first year, $400,000. Then I hired a team, and we did $750 off the MLS with basically a team of 3 or 4 people. And my overhead was minimal. I think my net on that $750 was well over $500.
Wow. So you are building relationships with the realtors to find the off-market deals, right? what kind of off-market deals have you been finding, especially in this kind of market, that's actually helped you versus the normal direct-to-seller that you've been doing?
Well, like I mentioned before, it's just not the focus of our business anymore, because what I realized over the years is it would be very difficult to scale to many, many millions using the MLS. We still do get deals off the MLS. We do probably 1 or 2 of them a month. I know other wholesalers that do much more than that, but honestly, those guys, their deal spreads are small. They only do 5,000-7,000 on an average deal. So it's a lot of work to make smaller spreads. When we go off market, our average spread is around 23,000, and we have even deals where we do 100,000 or more on a single property, and that's something that you're not going to be able to do off of the MLS. And today's market, all of the hedge funds are pretty much gone for the most part, or they're buying very, very low compared to what they were buying before. And you don't really have that many buy and hold investors in the market, because the buy and hold investors are waiting for the market to bottom out so that they can pick them up at lower prices. So the buyers that are still buying are the fix and flip investors, and they've got to get them low enough that even if the price of the after repair value drops in the next 3 to 6 months, they still are going to be able to make a return. So yeah, we're mainly right now, our main lead source is Google Ads. Google Ads is our favorite for as far as marketing. We spend right now today about $4,500 per business day on Google Ads.
Wow, that's a lot of ad spend.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm America's top wholesaler. So yeah, we spend a lot of money on ads because we're trying to be the best. And to be honest, we are one of the best already. So yeah, what was that? What was your follow-up question?
So what have you seen with the Google ads that seems to be working versus Facebook ads or direct mail or cold call? Is it that the people that are on clicking the Google ads are just have way more motivation? They're just ready to sell. Like, you don't have to convince or negotiate like crazy. Like you're just diving in saying, hey, this is what we do. This is how we can help you. And it's more seamless process.
Yeah, so the biggest advantage of Google Ads versus other marketing strategies is that the return on the cash that you're investing is a lot faster. So you might have to spend more money to get the leads, but it doesn't require as much follow-up. Usually we're getting the properties under contract typically within the first 48 hours of the lead coming in. And that's tremendous because it gives a big uplift to your acquisitions team. And it also gives a big... it just allows you to get your return quicker because typically these deals are closing in, 3 to 6 to 7 weeks normally. Sometimes it can take longer, but that's typical. So when you're putting down that $1,000 on ad spend, and you can get it back in 6 weeks. So that is huge. So that's why I'm comfortable spending as much as I am, or one of the reasons why I'm comfortable why I'm spending as much as I am.
Interesting. Because Google Ads has been a really interesting topic for us. We saw Brian Driscoll. He was on my show like a couple weeks ago talking about this, but Google Ads just seems to have a lot more clicks than like Facebook, a lot more motivation, just a lot more.
So Facebook is typically they don't have the intent. That's the key. When they're going on Google Ads, they have high intent to sell. So that's the key. Facebook is more of a casual thing. They're scrolling on there and then they come across your ad. So they don't tend to be as intentful. We use Facebook for retargeting on ads on people that have already gone to our website or our ad page, but we don't use it to reach out to new clients. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use it in your business, but it's not, for me, in my business, it's not quite cheap enough or cheaper enough than Google for it to make sense for me to use it as opposed to Google, because I'd rather pay a little bit more for Google and get a much, much higher quality lead than some wholesalers who are kind of scared and they're like, oh, I want the cheaper ones because they cost less. I don't care about how much they cost. I care about is a good use of my agent's time, because we're trying to scale to 7 million this year with 5 acquisition agents. Most companies trying to do 7 million have 40 acquisition agents or 20 acquisition agents. So it's a different approach.
And we're going to get into like how you're able to do it with less people making more money, because that comes down to your hiring practices and finding the best talent out there. And we are going to get to that. I just think it's really interesting about the ad spend, right? The ad spend that you're able to inject into it, because you know the return at the end of the day and what's going to happen and what kind of deals you're going to be able to pull off.
Correct. And like I said, those deals are huge. They close quickly. And they're just a better use of my team's time.
Yeah, I love that. So Ben, let's talk about this. Let's talk about recruiting and finding the best talent and what to look for in a team member. I think it's really important to find the quality of the team member, the talent in what they're able to do, and the experience level that they have versus just hiring just anybody and then training them, and then you have to hire more people to do the same task. I just see that even in my business. It's really important to find that talent, train them well, but then let them run on their own. How are you able to find the best talent out there for your business?
So the first thing is that you have to become crystal clear on what you're looking for, because people say, oh, I want to hire acquisitions, or I want to hire dispositions, or whatever it is, but they don't know what they're looking for. They're not really clear as to what kind of candidate am I looking for. My ideal candidate for a position at my company, first of all, they probably have experience. They probably have experience either in real estate or preferably working for another wholesaler, to be totally transparent and honest. So yeah, they have experience. And then more important than the experience, they have the right personality type, so that when they come in and then I join my team and we start to train them and coach them on our systems and processes, they do it in the correct way. And we don't have to spend 3, 4, 5 weeks training people. I know that some wholesalers have some long, rigorous training process, and I think that's great for them because they're lower level wholesalers. But the higher level wholesalers, they'll do the work on the front end, which is the recruiting, and then that'll take out the work of the training. Because if you can find a better candidate and plug them into your team, not only are they going to transition faster, you're also going to get better results. But if you're a weaker leader and a weaker recruiter, you're not going to be able to attract those talents. So then you have to work harder on the training side.
Right. And it comes down to also you as team leader or instilling team leaders with the talent itself, right? Like you have to be able to lead them. They can only do so much on their skill set. It's leading the charge and being able to tell them, this is what we got to do. This is how you do it. And maybe they've never been through that experience before, but you're explaining it. And I like what you talked about with personality type. So I've been at different conferences and trade shows, and I always ask the question, like, what do you look for in hiring? Like, what's the thing now you look for in hiring? And I love that answer of personality types, because everybody's got a different answer to it. But you're right. Somebody may have more a type A personality and fit a better role instead of the one that has type B. And that's the people that need to talk to the sellers, or somebody needs to talk to the title company, maybe a totally different personality type. So you have to find the right ones.
Correct. So for acquisitions, we are looking for a blue-green personality type, typically green-blue personality type. I don't know if you've ever seen the four color wheel. Should I show it, or it's too much time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show it.
Well, am I able to share my screen or no? Yeah.
I think I'm going to share.
Yeah. Let me see.
Sure, we can definitely figure that part out.
Entire screen. Okay. Share. Can you see my screen now?
We're about to. Let's see. All right, there we go.
Okay. So, yeah. So what we look for when we go to hire in this personality color circle, this is the key to honestly my business right here. And they should pay a lot of money for this, but it is what it is. Okay. So here we go. Can you see that chart or not?
Yeah.
Okay. So this personality color wheel is one of our main things we use when we're going to hire, right? And for acquisitions, we are looking, the ideal personality type is green, blue. Okay? Green, blue. And the reason for that, it's very counterintuitive because most people will hire acquisitions people that are red, yellow or red, blue. And that's why we dominate the industry, to be totally frank. Okay. So red personality is extroverted, pushy, aggressive. I'm extremely red. Yellow is very charismatic, funny, playful. Green is the calm, patient, connecting energy. And the blue is the formal, questioning, analytical energy. So the ideal candidate for acquisitions is green blue because they're the best at connecting with homeowners over the phone. So if you hire a green blue personality type and you get them on a higher commission, lower base structure, and you get them with motivated sellers on the phone, they're going to do whatever it takes to get the sellers to love them. And the sellers love them, it's game over. It doesn't matter how much you offer on the price as much as does the fact does a seller trust you. That's the whole key to this business. So when we go to acquisitions, we're looking for green, blue personality. For transactions, transaction coordinator, I personally prefer blue, red, because they're going to encounter problems in wholesaling, and they're going to have to overcome problems, and they have to be able to push through things, and they have to get aggressive because otherwise they'll get pushed around by the title companies, things like that. So blue, red is great for transactions. For dispo, for selling deals, I would say that they've got to be a little bit red because otherwise you're going to get hammered on the prices and you're going to get negotiated down too hard on the prices. So we like for dispositions, we love red blue or red yellow. But the key there is they've got to be not scared to call people and not scared to they have to be able to stay on the price. Right. Because a lot of the times you've got a buyer who's ultra interested in a property and they could pay $210 or they could pay $200. And that simply comes down to your skills in negotiating that deal.
So Ben, let me ask you this. I think a lot of times in our business, things come down to trial and error, right? Testing things, trying things, I'm sure that didn't just come overnight. Like learning all of those things with blue, green, yellow, and red didn't come overnight. So have you had to go through this process of learning about that, like over time, hiring and then trying somebody else or trying somebody else in this role?
Yes. Yeah. It was a lot of trial and error. Right now, my team, we have 5 full-time acquisition agents, 1 part-time, 2 disposition agents, 1 transaction coordinator in the process of hiring a second. And we have a full-time technical support person, as well as we have virtual assistants that do lead generation and that kind of thing. So we have a pretty decent sized team. It took a lot of trial and error for me to figure that out. If someone had explained it as clear to me as I just did, I think that would have been super helpful. But I mean, that's what I've discovered. And that's why I have multiple 7-figure closers on my sales floor. 7 figures, meaning each one of them closing 7 figures in a single year, when most companies are trying to get to 7 figures in total.
I've actually never seen that color circle wheel ever before. And so you're red. So like, how did you find, like, what about a personal assistant? Somebody that's like right hand, like what did you look for in that kind of circle wheel when it came to like helping you out in your business?
Well, my transaction coordinator is like my right hand. So, I mean, but I don't have a personal assistant per se right now. But I do have people that I delegate to. My technical support guy helps me with things. My transaction coordinator helps me with things. I have my cleaning lady who's kind of like my personal assistant as well because she handles a lot of stuff in my personal life that I don't have time for. So the question is what type of personality for a personal assistant? Gosh, I never thought about it. I mean, for personal assistant, I don't have a personal assistant. So I would imagine that I would want someone that's green because they would understand issues, and probably someone that's blue would be organized. But then again, I don't have a full-time personal assistant right now.
Yeah, I just like seeing you go through that kind of thinking process because like you don't have it, but like if you did, what would you look for? Because it seems like you're very familiar with that process, so you know where you would like immediately go to. It's like, wait a second, I know what I am. What would I get that would complement that well?
Well, the reason why I don't have a personal assistant is because I've actually tried to hire one before, and it's too general of a role. I look for people that are good at specific things that they can help me. And I'd rather have a few people helping in different areas than have one person as a general thing, because she's going to do everything on a mediocre level, as opposed to a few different people doing things that are they're good at themselves, so everything gets done even better.
Right. Right. I think that's great. I've never seen that before. I've heard of the predictive index where, you answer a bunch of questions and then you kind of see like where you are on the scale. But this is definitely different.
Well, if you're curious, the place that I got the red, blue, green from was from my friend Shawn Michael. Shawn Michael was a coach of mine a few years ago. He was actually a lifestyle and dating coach that I worked with, and I still am friends with him today. And he was the one that pointed that out to me, that red, blue, and green, yellow thing. And that's something that I really understood and was able to implement in my life and into my business.
Very cool. I love it. Ben, another thing that I think is really interesting about what you get into with these deals is you're very familiar with how sellers are, whether you go under contract, you're going to go to the closing table and everybody closes. But then there's certain times when you get everybody under contract, everybody's ready to close, and all of a sudden somebody says, we're not closing, we're backing out last minute, or we got a situation where somebody doesn't want to go to that closing table. Talk to us about things and remedies that you've seen when deals fall apart at the last minute, because I know how frustrating that is for a lot of realtors, a lot of investors, a lot of people doing deals. And then they're like, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we solve this issue?
Yeah, so the number one most common thing that causes a wholesale deal to fall apart, in my experience, is sellers backing out. That is the number one most common thing. And this is where the men get separated from the boys when it comes to wholesalers, because the average wholesaler will just let the deal go. And that's pathetic. Then there's two other options that you have, which is number one, you can file a notice of interest and cloud the title. And that will work sometimes. But the next step is to go ahead and file a lawsuit for specific performance. And those are my favorite. And we do it all the time. We probably file about 3 lawsuits a month. I would call myself litigious. So yeah, but I love it. So I have an attorney who I'm very close with that files these lawsuits for me. We get them done usually within 24 hours as far as filing the complaint. And 80% of the time when the seller gets served with the lawsuit, they're already back on board. Mm-hmm. So they're back on board. They know you're not playing around. They know you're not going to let the deal go. So that's, you just saved 80% of your deals right there. That with the sellers backing out. The other 20% of the time is they won't, they either won't answer or they'll hire an attorney to fight back. If they hire an attorney to fight back, in my experience, it's happened a couple times. The other attorney tells them, "Listen, you're an idiot. You signed a contract. You should abide by this contract," and they come to close. So we still win. Then the other case is where they just ghost you and they just stop answering completely. And then you eventually put them in default and you end up winning the case. It just takes a lot longer. Those are what's happened to me. There's been maybe a couple other circumstances, but we've been extremely successful in closing deals using specific performance.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that concept where if they back out last minute, what can you use to enforce that kind of deal? And using specific performance is the lawsuit version. What's the percentage you've seen where they ghost? Like, what percentage have they ghosted?
On the specific performance or the percentage overall?
Just overall, like where they ghost and you have to use specific performance.
Okay, so
not that much.
I'm just trying to get the understanding. The percentage of the sellers where they just stop answering you after you go under contract.
Yeah,
that almost never happens.
Well, like if they ghost you, let's just say you're under contract and all of a sudden you're going to go to the closing table and they don't answer. They don't answer the title company at all. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, so
that's very that doesn't happen to us. Okay. Usually they'll ghost for a little bit and we'll continually reach out until we get to them. And then eventually we get to them in a couple of days or so, and then we find out what's going on. But as soon as we even sense a little bit that they might be backing out at this point in time, if the deal's in Florida, we sue. next day. It's like that.
So you're using it even as a way to just say, hey, like, we're taking this very seriously. Like, if you don't want to move forward with the deal, this is what we're going to do.
Well, I know that there's a high percentage chance that if they don't answer us, that there's probably a reason for that. And most likely it's because they signed another contract with another person, or they're trying to go around our back and sell it to someone else. And that's happened to us before. I've been burned for 60 grand because we had a deal in escrow for months and months and months, and they turn around and sold to someone else the last minute. And if it's a good deal and we have a buyer lined up and we're going to make some money, we're suing fast. I have nothing to lose. I don't care, because I'll just, if it ends up, they come to closing the next day, great, we'll dismiss the lawsuit. I don't have much to lose.
What about the other states that you're in? Because you don't just do it in Florida, like, you're in all these other states. Like, how do you handle that in, like, Texas or Kansas?
So we file NOI, and that's been helpful. We have people come back to us off the NOI sometimes. That's unfortunate because we've lost some huge spreads in Texas, 6-figure spreads, because we couldn't sue, which is why we don't like Texas that much. North Carolina, we've sued and we've won. And we've actually in the process of doing one in New Jersey right now, and I think we're going to win that as well. California, we've gotten unlucky. So, I mean, we just have to know where to pick your battles, and we favor the states where we are more confident in our legal system. If I had attorneys to back me up on the drop of a dime the way I do in Florida, in other states, and I knew that I was in a favorable position to win, we would be suing like left and right.
So the sense I get, especially in Florida, is like, build your team, right? Like, build the team around you to help you when you come across these situations, right? So you got an attorney that helps on specific performance. I'm sure you have somebody that's just strictly doing the title work, or I'm helping on the probates, or like, you're finding the team members and you put them in place to help strategize when you come into these situations. So it seems very strategic for you.
Well, yeah, it's based off repetition, because I've already seen these situations. Most people, when they come across a situation, they're flustered. I'm like, we're ready. I
think that's great. You've seen it. You know how to tackle that, and that is going to help you keep scaling your business. And actually, what you're doing by talking about this, now you're doing more social media videos talking about this and helping others. I just saw a video you dropped today where you talked about what you're going through on deals, and it's helping people, like, internationally.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that the concepts that I use in my business for my wholesale business can be applied in many different ways in many different businesses. So yeah, I definitely enjoy sharing my input and stuff like that. I think that my style, which is a little bit abrasive, is just different than most people.
Yeah. And I mean, but your style too is like very business minded too. You're thinking about how are we going to do this? How long is it going to take? Where do we have to go? How do we solve the problem? It's about solving that problem, not just about issue. Like, how do we solve it? Is there enough money in the deal? You're always looking at it that way. So I think the approach to the hiring, and then to how do you handle situations like this if they back out last minute, can be really important for people. It's a great remedy in case that happens. Let's talk about this too. Hot trends. This is something I've had on my show. And I love when you and I were talking about this, you were like, right away, you're like, novations. What is the hot trend with novations lately that seems to just be like blowing up?
Yeah, so novations is a phenomenal way to battle the market change. And right now, most of our deals, we're getting novations. About 70% of the time, we're getting a novation agreement, which has really helped out. I mean, it's allowed us to scale in a downturn. This past month in March was our best month in company revenue since last June. And most people are hurting right now. They are hurting, whether they admit it or not. Most people are downsizing. Their business is, 50, 40, 30% of what it was when the market was strong. So yeah, novations is definitely a big one. Although the one thing, it's very funny because everyone likes to sugarcoat novation. They come with a lot of problems. And we're still working through those problems in our business. You have a lot of flaky sellers with novations, because even though you tell them you're going to, try to sell the property on the market, they don't always understand what you're talking about. And so you'll get it under contract and then they'll get cold feet. And that happens a lot. And if you're not prepared for that, you just wasted your time and you've lost a lead. Yeah, but I mean, novations has been phenomenal. We're closing a lot of deals with novations.
how do you better educate the sellers on novations? Because it's really like wholesaling with disclosures.
Well, that's correct. And I think that that's key, that you have to build tremendous rapport. And because ultimately what the sellers are looking for is they're looking for an easy way out of their problem. And even if you're selling to someone else, you can still provide them that solution as long as you are transparent and they're confident that you're going to follow through on your word. And that comes with experience and with time on how to make the sellers confident in you that you're going to deliver. So even if you're not the highest offer, if they feel that you're going to close and you're going to follow through on your word, they might go with you over some other person who offered more.
Yeah. If I've seen so many different people try to bring a different approach to like how you explain things to sellers, educating them, whether it's novations, whether it's creative financing, being able to just like talk them through it. Because if you just say, hey, we're going to do this, and they may put up a wall and they don't want to even get into it. But I've seen a lot of people talk about novations as the opportunity in this type of market, and people are able to list it for top dollar. And sellers seem to want to do that way. So I think that's really interesting. And Ben, I'd have to say, like, you've been through a lot of deals. I mean, thousands of deals. Give us some crazy stories on some things, whether they've been successes or nightmares or just learning lessons that you've been through when it comes to some of these deals. What are some things that you've been through that you can share?
Well, I'll start out with the crazy good one. My actually second ever off-market direct-to-seller wholesale deal, we made $265,000 on that deal. And wow. I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, because obviously that wasn't we were just starting out doing off-market. I had no idea. We had a lead from an elderly gentleman, and we ended up getting this property, this lead. It was in Loxahatchee, Florida, which is West Palm Beach. And the seller said he wanted $18,000 for this property. And so quickly when I did the comps, I saw that there were some comps for $70,000. And so I thought, okay, well, $18,000 is good if they're selling for 70, right? And I move very fast, especially when I was younger. I was even more anxious. I moved extremely fast. So we went on the appointment to meet with this guy, and we met him in the parking lot of one of his buildings that he owned. And we sat in his car. It was me and my agent, Angie, who still works for me today. And she was sitting in the front next to him, and I was sitting in the back, and they were talking for an hour. And I was getting so bored, and I just couldn't listen to it anymore. So, they were going over the contract and talking, building rapport for an hour. After about an hour, after about 45 minutes, I couldn't handle anymore. I just got out of the car. I said, Angie, you got this. I'm just going to wait in the car. So I went back in my car, and she comes back, 15 minutes later with the contract signed, and she was smiling like ear to ear. And I was like, Angie, why are you so excited? I don't understand. Like, what is going on? I mean, it's a good deal, but like, we might make 20 grand, like whatever. And she's like, No, Ben, I checked the assessed value on it, and it's 18 acres. And the lot you were looking at for 70 was 1 acre, not 18. Wow. So we got 18 acres for $18,000. And I was like, wow, okay, now I understand. So I ended up flipping it really quick for $285, really quick. So my business partner, who's actually he's now my business partner, Will, I sold it to him. He resold it immediately for $360.
Wow.
So long story short, we left money on the table, but we still made over $250,000. And that was a hell of a deal.
So did you leave money on the table just because you wanted to just get it done fast? Or could you have just kept it for a little bit and then maybe found the buyer that was going to do like 365?
Well, I actually think that the buyer that sold it for 360 resold it. According to what my business partner said, I still have to verify this is true. The buyer that sold it, that got it for 360, resold it again for $1 million. He resold it again for $1 million.
Did he build on it?
I don't think so. I think he just sold it as is. It was 18 acres in a good area.
What was
So
what was the timing of that market though? Like, what was the timing when he got it for $1 million? Like,
so I need to verify that, because I just took my business partner's word for that. I never looked at it again, but because I didn't want to see that. That would have upset me. So but the point is that yeah, I was going through a partnership breakup at the time, and I didn't want that deal to get ruined by the partnership breakup. I wanted to make sure that we got it closed, because I knew it was going to be a big spread. So that's why I sold it real quick for $285. Because I could have easily afforded to close on it for 18. It wasn't that much money at the time. Yeah. And so yeah, that's why I did it like that. But the moral of the story is you can make a lot of money in this game if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting story with these spreads and other buyers that played into it, because there was another investor I know that told a similar story about a deal in Texas, and she locked it up and then she sold it to another end buyer, only to find out that end buyer then sold it for way more than what she wholesaled it out for. And there ended up being another buyer on top of that. So what Ben's talking about has happened to others, where it's like, you get these big spreads, but then, it's about timing. It's about knowing your market. It's about having great relationships with people, and maybe it's a different strategy for everybody, but that's a crazy story about like how valuable that land came out to be.
Yeah, and that's happened to us multiple times. And I think that as I get deeper into the business, that doesn't happen anymore. And I'm very considerate now about which exit strategy we're going to use. We do wholesaling, we do novations, we do subject to, we do a lot of wholesaling, buying and reselling on the market as is. We do buy, fix, and sell. We do buy and hold. I do everything. I think that's what, a true real estate investor needs to know, how to do all the strategies if they want to make the most amount of money.
Yeah. I think you have to have your strategies, and you have to have your tools at your disposal, so you know how you're going to tackle those deals. That's the point, right? Like, it's about the experience you've been with, those stories that you learn from later on about, or what could we have done differently, or did we approach it the right way? You basically make it to the point where they understand what they're doing and they know where to go for it. So Ben, and talk to us, because we've been through some probates. I mean, I'm sure you love it when the probates come along, because those can be great deals too.
Well, we love it and we hate it, because I mean, we love it because we know we got you in our back pocket ready to clear the probate. I think we just got like 3 of them in the past week that we're sending your way. But obviously we don't like it just because it delays the process for us. But I mean, with you, it definitely goes a lot faster than it would otherwise. Probates obviously are some of the best ones, just because they don't want to hold on to it. They're trying to sell it. So that's their only thing is, I'm going to sell it. It's just a matter of who they're going to sell it to and for how much. And if you have the right attorneys on your team or in your network to get the probate done, those deals are not a problem.
Yeah, and sometimes the probates, they have the biggest spreads. I talk about it. They have the biggest spreads. They have the best stories, and everybody's working together to figure it out. And it's a win for the seller, a win for the investor. The title company can close it. The attorney's going to be able to figure it out. And I think those are, I love those probate deals, because I love seeing what happens and the deals we've been able to work on. I mean, we get them done. They're seamless. Title company closes it, and you're good. You're out, So I love it. Ben, I'm still thinking about that circle wheel. I think that's so cool. The colors and like the different hiring practices. I think it's so cool. You dropped awesome information about that and all the other stuff on the show. As I do with all my guests at the end of the Al Nicoletti Show, I do a segment called Final Words, Final Thoughts. And it's anything on maybe where the market's going, or maybe what's next for Ben, or maybe, any advice for people out there. This is your 2 minutes. You go for it. Final words, final thoughts, Ben Toaff.
Well, I turned 30 this past year, and it's just and I feel father time. I'm not in my 20s anymore. Maybe I'm not old, but I feel father time, and I realize that I don't have forever to do the things that I want to do. So I'm putting the gas on it right now. I'll tell you, I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm not waiting for the market change, because I can't control that. I'm not waiting for whatever. I'm doing it right now. So yeah, I mean, this year in my business, it's all about delegating, scaling so that we can do the numbers that we want to do. My team can make as much money as they want to make so that I can make money as much money as I want to make. This is the year I've kind of always been a little bit of a dark horse in real estate wholesaling. I get people overlook me a little bit. No one acknowledges me as one of the big dogs in the industry, even though I know that I am. And I've had enough of that. I'm going all in on social media this year. I'm hiring people to help me build my social media. And, I'm going to go in on the coaching and all that stuff. And honestly, I think that I'm going to deliver more value in my coaching than 99% of the other coaches out there, because I actually do this business every day. When a lot of these coaches, they do 1% business, 99% coaching, as opposed to me, where I really did, for the longest time, 100% business. And so that's what I'm excited for. And I really appreciate you bringing me on here, because I've seen your show, your podcast. I thought it was a very well done one, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Thank you. No, I love it. I'm glad you're a part of it. And I mean, you were able to drop so much information to help others, investors, realtors, people getting into the game, people that have been doing it, and inspire them about even the health journey, like the differences that you've been able to make and implement to make yourself at a higher performance level. So you're bettering yourself, you're bettering your team. And I love what you're doing on social media. You've been pumping out the videos lately like crazy, and being able to share the value that you've learned in the deals over the last many deals, that you've been able to work on and help others and explain, say, hey, we've been through this before. This is what you got to look for, and top 5 things to look for. I think you're going to crush it on social media. Keep going on what you're doing. Keep posting. And you're just going to keep scaling to another level, brother. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being on and sharing this stuff. I'm still thinking about the wheel. I love that, the hiring wheel. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, we'll do another episode sometime maybe, or maybe you'll come on my podcast. I don't have one yet, but we'll get there. I think that you're going to have some happy customers, happy people watching this. Hopefully they'll really get something out of it that they didn't see somewhere else.
Yeah, I love it. Ben, it's been a blast. We will catch up soon, man. I can't wait.
All right, brother. You have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too. I'll talk to you soon. All right, everybody, another episode on the Nicoletti Show. Ben Toaff, and dropping gems on hiring practices and things to look out for, what the new trends are with leads. And I love that thing he was talking about with Google PPC as the lead source that seems to be really working with motivated sellers, motivated deals, and the best strategies for recruiting and finding talent in the industry. I told him there, I'm still thinking about the wheel, the hiring wheel, and the different colors and what matches what role in the company. So if you missed any of this episode, make sure you go back and check it out. If you missed it, we'll make sure it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, and also the cool thing about how novations is a hot trend. Everybody's talking about novations. I'm at a conference, I'm at an event, everybody's using the word novation. So awesome stuff. If you missed any of this episode, you can go check this out on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all the major platforms, and you'll find all Ben's content there. And of course, if you want to find out all the amazing guests like Ben Toaff that have been on the Nicoletti Show, make sure you check out the Nicoletti YouTube channel, the Facebook page, the personal page, the Instagram, where we have everybody drop. And I will see you all next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a great guest once again. I'll see you then. Have a great one.